The story begins with Rein being called by his group of adventurers. Without warning, the team leader turns to him and tells him that he is out of the group. Soon after, wolves appear running towards Rein. He is a beast tamer, someone with the ability to form bonds with creatures. But this class is not exactly known for its strength in combat. Still, Rein had managed to earn a spot in a group of heroes. Every day he tried hard to support his teammates, thinking that he was slowly gaining their trust. Now, in the present, Rein doesn't understand what's going on. He thinks that maybe it's a joke, but Arios doesn't seem to find it funny at all. With a straight face, he says that they're not joking. One by one, the other members show their contempt for Rein, making it clear that they don't want him around anymore. Lean laughs mockingly and says he is useless. Arios adds that no one will protect him anymore and that his only role so far has been to carry the luggage. Other than that, he would not have made any difference in the group's success. At these words, Rein is paralyzed. He cannot believe he is being treated this way. He thought he was part of the team, that they were truly together. Not knowing how to react, he is still told to return the equipment, since they were the ones who got the items. With a confused mind and a heavy heart, he remembers all the times he felt useless. For a long time, he was protected by others, and now he understands that perhaps they always looked down on him. He is shocked that he only realized this now. Without direction, lost in his own thoughts, he ends up being surprised by a group of children who appear wanting to play. To cheer them up, Rein shows off some of his tamer skills. He calls a hawk that was flying overhead and asks the bird to greet the little ones. The children are delighted with the trick. Then, Rein undoes the contract with the hawk and lets it go. Suddenly, one of the boys says he wants to be a beast tamer. Surprised, Rein asks why he doesn't dream of being a hero. The answer comes straight out. The group of heroes is mean and rude. The children then say that Rein is cool, that they like him, and that they also want to be tamers and become successful adventurers. Touched by those words, Rein makes a decision. He will continue as an adventurer. Soon after, he goes to the Adventurers Guild. There he talks to Natalie, saying that he still doesn't quite understand how this life works. Patiently, she explains everything he needs to know to get by as an adventurer. Rein thanks her for her help, and Natalie, curious, asks about his class. When she answers that he is a beast tamer, Rein immediately remembers the cruel words he heard from Lean. Later, Rein takes part in a test to be able to officially register as an adventurer. Natalie had already warned that everyone needs to do this, as inexperienced adventurers could end up damaging the guild's image. During the test, we see Rein hunting goblins. He tries his best, using all the techniques he knows, and manages to defeat them. At the end of the battle, he thanks a squirrel for helping him, and is already thinking about returning with the collected items. But before he can, he hears a scream coming from the forest. Without thinking twice, he runs towards the sound and finds a huge killer tiger, a D-class monster. The creature is about to attack a girl. Rein, with only a knife, tries to face the tiger to protect her. He attacks, but his weapon breaks at the first blow. The monster then changes focus and charges at Rein. He yells at the girl to run away, willing to sacrifice himself for her. But to his surprise, she doesn't run away. Instead, she jumps into the air and delivers a kick so powerful that it defeats the monster in a single blow. Rein is amazed by what he sees and soon realizes that this girl belongs to the rarest species in the world, a cat spirit. Without strength, the girl begins to fall, and Rein catches her in time. Exhausted, she whispers in his ear that she is hungry. Confused, Rein offers her his own lunch. We then discover that the cat spirits do not know how to use magic, but they have such absurd physical strength that no one can keep up with them. After eating, the girl thanks him and tells him that she had seen her grandparents near a river. She introduces herself as Kanade, and Rein introduces himself as an adventurer. Kanade, curious and excited, says she wants to be his friend and thanks him for saving her. When Rein asks why she was in the forest, Canade explains that cat spirits live in isolation in the mountains, and that she wanted to see the world. She says she is happy to have met Rein. Excited about the meeting, Canade wants to know more about Rein. When she finds out that he had been kicked out of a group of heroes, she gets angry. She doesn't understand how they could treat someone like him badly. Rein says that he has already gotten over it and thanks her for caring. In response, Canade smiles and cuddles up, enjoying being cuddled. Soon after, she says that Rein is not weak, praises his efforts, and proposes that they make a family pact. She believes that Rein is capable of taming her as his partner. Despite his insecurity, Rein listens to her words of encouragement and remembers the time when he felt helpless as a child. Now, by her side, he feels that he can become stronger. Deep down, Rein realizes that more than Canade's power, what he really wants is to get to know her better. With this thought, he decides to try the pact. He creates a blood contract, which forms a bond between the two. Successfully, he tames her using his beast-taming skills. Canade accepts the contract and becomes his official partner. Rein happily says that the contract worked perfectly. Canade is also happy and shows the symbol of the pact in her hand. Rein says that he is looking forward to many adventures with her. Canade shares the same joy. Rein feels that by his side, he has an incredible and powerful companion. Before they can return to the guild, he still needs to finish his test. To do so, Rein tames a cute rabbit and asks it to call the others. Soon, several rabbits appear and help him find medicinal herbs. The animals spread out across the field. Canade watches everything, impressed. She comments that, normally, tamers can only have one partner, never an entire group. Curious, she asks where he learned such unusual techniques. Rein, surprised, says that he always thought that tamers could form multiple groups. After a few hours, he hands over the items and passes the test. You are now officially an adventurer of the Horizon Guild. Natalie congratulates you, and you even receive a small reward. She also encourages you, and Canade, who is waiting for you, celebrates when she learns that you have become a real adventurer. Excited, Rein says he wants to start a mission soon, but a man appears and upon seeing Canade, is surprised to find a cat spirit. Soon, he begins to tease her. She refuses to answer, and he mocks Rein, calling him weak. Canade becomes angry and firmly states that Rein is her master, since he tamed her. Rein introduces himself as a beast tamer, but the other adventurer scoffs. He says that beings like Canade are too strong to be controlled by someone like Rein. Then, he challenges him to an arm wrestle. Rein doesn't mind the provocations, but he wants to protect Canade. So, he accepts the challenge, determined to win. The opponent thinks he has already won before it even starts. But as soon as the fight begins, Rein easily defeats him. Natalie appears, apologizes for the adventurer's behavior, and tries to get around the situation. When he tries to pull her dress, she loses her temper and hits him with a table. Afterwards, she apologizes to Rein and Kanade for causing a scare. Rein is still surprised by his new abilities. Canade explains that he gained those powers because of the family pact. He had no idea about that, and comments that no one had ever tamed a supreme species before. Later, the two go to collect more herbs. Canade seems a little disheartened, saying that she imagined the life of an adventurer differently. Rein replies that as an F-rank adventurer, he needs to gain experience little by little. Meanwhile, the rabbits finish gathering, leaving Canade surprised that they have already completed everything. She had barely helped and was embarrassed. The rabbits even seemed to look down on her, which made her even more irritated. As Rein prepares to return to the guild, a scream catches Canade's attention. The two then come across a group of bandits threatening an elderly man. Canade had heard stories about a group of thieves known for being quite dangerous. When he saw those criminals threatening an elderly man, Rein felt the urge to act. Canade noticed this, and was glad that he felt the same way. Without wasting any time, they went on the attack and managed to defeat the bandits together. In the end, Canade saved the old man, and understood that Rein was no ordinary tamer. Before the fight, she was worried that his powers were too strong, and that his body would not be able to handle it. But when she saw how calmly Rein controlled everything, she felt relieved. During the fight, Canade couldn't stop watching him. Her heart beat fast, excited as he defeated all the enemies. She even blushed afterward. Despite having said that she was the one who saved the man, Rein didn't realize that she was in love. The old man thanked her for the rescue, but told her that his escort had escaped. Worried that the bandits would return for revenge, Rein decided to go after the rest of the group. Canade was distressed to learn that the enemies numbered over 100, but Rein said that he already had something in mind. A squirrel helped locate their hideout. Canade felt bad for not having helped in any way again, but Rein tried to cheer her up. She realized that he was joking, so she laughed. After that, Rein showed her a different creature and told her that he had learned to tame insects too. That was how Canade discovered that there were insect tamers, a branch of the beast tamers. Once again, she was struck by how special Rein was. He then asked her to return to the city and call for reinforcements. Although worried, she agreed, wishing Rein luck before leaving. Meanwhile, he prepared to attack, controlling hundreds of bees at once. Meanwhile, Lean and Mina, the heroes responsible for protecting the old man, had fled. They were angry, especially because Alias did not accompany them. Lean, even more so, was frustrated with the group's new tamer, saying that he was useless. The tamer replied that he was not one to fight, as his job was something else. Lean commented that even someone like Rein had tried to fight. Soon after, Rein appeared, attacking the thieves with his bees. Lean was shocked to see that Rein was a special beast tamer. But even so, he did not believe the new tamer and stated that if he told anyone about the mission's failure, he would be killed. Lean refused to accept that Rein had won. However, at that point, Rein had already immobilized all the enemies using only his bees. Shortly after, Canade arrived with reinforcements, and the other adventurers praised Rein. They said that the knights had refused to help them. He praised Canade for doing a good job, and she was visibly happy with the recognition. Suddenly, the ground shook. Powerful creatures appeared, the lizard kings. The bandits, in their arrogance, had tried to control the monsters, but the lizards ended up turning against them. So Rein and Canade took action to stop the creatures from causing more damage. Rein asked the adventurers to take everyone to a safe place. In the middle of the fight, he realized how much stronger he had become. He felt grateful to have met Kanade and to be fighting alongside her. After facing the lizards together, the adventurers anxiously waited for the two to come out of the battle safely. When they finally left the cave, they were greeted with celebrations. At that moment, Rein realized that he was not useless. What's more, he wanted to spend more time with Kanade. He thanked her for her help and said that, with her around, he felt like he could do anything. That night, Kanade was happy to be able to sleep in a comfortable bed after so long. Rein, on the other hand, was nervous about sharing a room with her. Going back in time, we learned that the bandit group had been captured, and Rein had received praise from Natalie. As a result, he was promoted to an E-rank adventurer. They also received a cash reward. When they went to look for lodging, there was only one room available at the inn. Rein ended up staying in the same room as Canade. He was so nervous about sharing a room with a pretty girl that he considered sleeping outside. But Canade stopped him. Rein tried to justify it by saying that he was a man, but she just replied that she liked the rain and that she wasn't afraid of him. So Rein took advantage of the situation to teach her that she shouldn't trust strangers right away, because they can be dangerous. Canade was distraught by what she heard and explained that, in fact, she doesn't trust just anyone. She only trusts Rein because they are friends. That's what made Rein change his mind and decide to spend the night in the room with her. During the early hours of the morning, Canade looked at him sleeping and thought about how cute he was. She was grateful to have met someone so nice. As one of the last of her kind, she always felt alone and didn't trust anyone. But when she met Rein, who wanted to help her without asking for anything in return, everything changed. Knowing how much he also carried scars from the past, Canade made a plan. She wanted to help him leave that burden behind and find happiness. A week later, Rein and Kanade were enjoying their days as adventurers. He had a lot of fun with her. One day, when they arrived at the guild, they heard about a villain who was attacking people on the Stride Bridge. Natalie asked Rein to accept the mission and told him that the reward was good. 2 hours later, they were already on the bridge, looking for the criminal known as the guard dog. Rein began to wonder why none of the more experienced adventurers talked about this villain. Soon after, Canade looked up at the sky and saw something huge flying. It was a dragon. It landed on the bridge and then revealed its true form. It was, in fact, a dragon girl. She challenged Rein and Canade to a fight. Surprised, Rein asked if she was the guard dog. The girl introduced herself as Tanya, a member of the final species. She explained that she was looking for strong opponents for special training. Rein wasn't sure if they could beat her, but Canade encouraged him. And so, the battle began. Tanya threw the first blow, which Rein managed to block, but was still thrown back. She was impressed by his resilience and used her fire breath on both of them. Rein managed to dodge, but Canade was hit by the flames. Angered, she attacked Tanya forcefully. The two began to exchange blows with their fists. Rein wanted to help and joined the fight. Tanya managed to block the attacks and responded with another powerful blow. Soon after, she concentrated all her energy and launched a massive fire attack. Rein and Canade barely escaped. Tanya was surprised by the two's resistance. At that moment, Rein had an idea and asked Canade to help him buy time. In the meantime, he used the cat spirit's gatlings to distract Tanya. Kanade believed that Rein could defeat her. He went in search of a bird and found one just behind the bridge. Using his skills, almost like a magic map, he tamed the bird, which would be the key to victory. He confidently told Kanade that it was time to counterattack. Soon, Tanya was surrounded by a flock of birds. Her legs lost their strength. Rein then explained that the birds had a type of poison that paralyzed the body. Tanya let her guard down and gave up the fight, which gave Rein and Kanade the victory. After that, Rein asked her if she would like to accompany him. When Tanya looked at his face, she felt that there was something good in his heart. Soon after, Canade started teasing her, and Tanya responded by saying that bad girls deserve to be punished. A few hours later at the guild, Rein told Natalie that he had defeated the guard dog. Suddenly, she wanted to know more about Tanya. Rein simply replied that she was a friend. Tanya, being a proud dragon, almost let her true identity slip, which made Rein uneasy. He tried to clarify everything, but ended up only creating more confusion. So the two decided to leave the city. Along the way, Rein asked her to keep her dragon nature a secret. Then, he told her that she was now free, and that she no longer needed to attack adventurers. Touched by his words, Tanya made a decision. She wanted to follow Rein and asked to join his party. Everyone was a little surprised by her choice, but Rein thought it could be a positive thing. In the end, she was accepted into the group, and Tanya also wanted to be tamed by him. Shortly after, Rein activated his special beast tamer abilities to seal the contract. He cast the spell, and a powerful magic circle appeared, connecting his mana with Tanya's. She received a symbol in her hand and was happy to have created this bond with Rein. She was excited about the idea of living new adventures with him, and at that moment, she began to recognize him as her master. Later that night, Arios' group of heroes appeared dejected. They were frustrated that they had failed in their mission. Without Rein, things did not go as expected. Suddenly, Arios suggested that the group should try to bring him back. He believed that Rein, being a weakling, would humble himself to return to the team. Meanwhile, the two girls who were with Rein began to argue as they both wanted to sleep next to him. The next day, Rein received a mission to eliminate slimes, and the girls offered to help him. The reason for this was that the slimes, although low-level monsters, were being ignored by the adventurers, which caused damage to the farmers' fields. Canade didn't like the slimes at all, as they were too sticky. Rein, on the other hand, was pleased to see that the girls were getting along well. Using his tamer skills, he tracked the slimes. Suddenly, some of the birds began to talk. He explained that he had transferred part of his soul into one of them, which allowed him to control its movements. The girls were amazed at this unusual ability. Soon after, Rein discovered a large number of slimes playing in the forest. Tanya asked him if he could use magic. He replied that he could cast a simple version of a fireball. Tanya encouraged him to use this spell against the slimes. Although he didn't have much confidence in his magic power, Rein decided to give it a try. He concentrated his mana and launched the fireball, which caused a considerable explosion. Tanya explained that because of the contract with Kanade, Rein had gained enormous physical strength. He had also gained some of the powers of a dragon. This left him a bit confused. With the arrival of another group of slimes, Rein was told to train his magic, to learn how to better control this new power. He didn't want to be a burden to his teammates, so he decided to work hard to improve. Following Tanya's advice, he began practicing seriously. After they completed the mission, they returned to the guild. A little girl approached them to ask what they had done. They told her that they had cleared the slime fields, and she was overjoyed. Later, Rein went shopping with the girls. They had a great time together. During dinner, he discovered that supreme species had huge appetites. The girls devoured dish after dish, and Rein thanked Tanya for helping him understand his magic better. Then they asked him where he had learned to tame beasts. Rein told them that he came from a village where there were many beast tamers. His parents and friends taught him everything they knew. Unfortunately, that village no longer existed. Canade was touched by the story. He tried to reassure her that she didn't need to worry, but the two girls made it clear that he had no obligation to tell them anything if he didn't want to. Even so, Rein decided to trust them and shared everything. He said his parents were busy, so he trained alone. One day, he saw the sky turn red and ran home. When he arrived, he found the village completely destroyed by flames. He was the only one to survive. An adventurer found him and took him in. Years later, he met Arios, his hero. When he received an invitation to join the group, he accepted. He thought that this would help him prevent further tragedies, but reality was not what he expected. Kanade noticed that Rein was shaking as he told the story, and she commented that she had always wanted to understand why he was the first to throw himself into danger. Now she knew. It was because he always put others before himself. That made her happy. Tanya and Kanade said that he was an incredible teacher and that they admired him greatly. The two even talked about taking revenge on Rein's former group, but he assured them he wasn't angry. In the following days, Rein and her companions set out on an orc hunt. During the mission, Canade challenged Tanya to a contest. Tanya defeated many monsters with ease. Rein knew that orcs were weaker than goblins, but more intelligent. After the battle, he warned the girls not to let their guard down. Tanya, however, felt that an orc posed no threat, so they continued with their mission, defeating more orcs. At one point, Tanya discovered that an orc had escaped, and by relying too much on her strength, ended up falling into a trap. An orc tried to attack her from behind. Rein intervened and ended up injured in the arm. After that, he began collecting the runestones. Tanya couldn't forgive herself for putting him at risk. When they returned to the guild, Rein received his reward, but noticed that Tanya was acting strangely. A little girl wanted to know what they had gone through that day. When she noticed Tanya's sad expression, she thought she was sick. After the conversation, Tanya thought about everything. She realized that Rein had only tried to protect her because he cared about her. Despite this, she was still embarrassed for not following his advice. When Rein appeared behind her, Tanya apologized. He replied that he and Kanade were relieved that she was okay. Later, back at the dorm, Tanya watched Rein sleep. She had never met anyone so kind. At that moment, she knew she was falling in love with him. Even though they had only spent a short time together, she decided she wanted to be by his side forever. A few days passed, and Tanya suggested that Rein buy new equipment. Canade was starving, and Rein promised that they would have lunch before that. However, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. He He was shocked to see his old group mates right in front of him. Rein tried to ignore them, but Arios soon insulted him, calling him weak. Tanya reacted, asking him to stop talking nonsense about Rein. It was then that they noticed that two supreme species were standing next to him. The heroic group was surprised to find out that those girls were Rein's allies. Canade was irritated to notice that they still treated Rein like a mere servant. In the middle of the conversation, they asked if Rein remembered the last mission in the Lost Forest. Arios explained that they were unable to cross it because the paths kept changing. Even so, they invited Rein to help again, but he could sense the contempt in Arios' words. The members of the heroes group said that Rein should feel privileged to have the chance to contribute to them. Even so, he refused the request and was already thinking about returning to the city before continuing on his way. Mina then mentioned that one of the noble relics was hidden in the Lost Forest, and that it was essential to defeat the Demon King. This took Rein by surprise. It was at that moment that he realized that the heroes group would not be able to defeat the enemy without the help of these magical artifacts. He remembered the suffering he experienced as a child and did not want anyone else to go through that. Therefore, he decided to give Arios and his former companions a second chance. Suddenly, Kanade and Tanya appeared and interrupted the attackers. Canade said that they would accompany Rein to the Lost Forest, but demanded that everyone apologize for their offensive words. Even so, Arios showed no remorse. It was then that Tanya threatened to use her fire breath, saying that she could wipe out everyone there if she wanted. Even in the face of this, Arios insisted on provoking. He said that Rein should worry about training his pets, and mocked the girls who accompanied him. He continued to provoke until Rein became angry, who, without thinking twice, punched him in the face. Arios was stunned. He could not accept that he had been hit by a simple beast tamer, but Rein was completely angered after hearing those insults to his companions. Soon the challenge came, a fight between the two groups. Rein accepted, and so everyone headed to the forest, preparing for the confrontation. Canade, in turn, became furious when Agath started making jokes about Rein. Without hesitation, she went after him, and the impact of her strength surprised Agath. He had not expected so much power coming from a cat spirit. Still, he did not think about giving up. He tried to use his secret technique to turn the tables, but Canade easily dodged it. In an ironic tone, she said that even a baby would be stronger than him. Agath refused to admit that he was at a disadvantage. He stated that he was not fighting seriously yet, to which Canade replied that up until that moment, he had only been using half of his true power. Hearing this, Agath had a dark premonition. Perhaps this really was his last fight, and he was right. He ended up defeated, and Canade realized that he had gone a little too far. Meanwhile, Tanya was preparing to face the two girls from the rival group. They underestimated her and tried to cast a powerful spell, but Tanya managed to nullify their magic without difficulty. Still, Lean decided to try again, certain that they could win if they tried again. But Tanya repeated the same trick and explained that her magic could cancel their spells with ease. Little by little, they realized that they had no chance against a dragonoid. Even so, their wounded pride did not allow them to accept defeat. Tanya then stated that Rein was the strongest among them all. They insisted on one more attack, trying to turn the situation around, but they realized that Tanya was just having fun with the battle. When Tanya said that she would show magic worthy of a goddess, she began to cast an immense spell. Her opponents became desperate and begged for forgiveness, afraid of dying. Tanya, in the end, stopped the spell and said that they should not take so seriously something that, for her, was just a bluff. At the same time, Arios taunted Rein, saying that he had no chance of winning. But Rein decided to attack him. Not having the patience for speeches, he replied that it was better for him to shut up. Arios reacted quickly with his sword. Rein realized how fast and strong he was, but managed to dodge all of the blows. At that moment, he thought that, despite Arios' strength, none of his attacks compared to the real danger of Tanya's fire spells. Finding an opening, Rein landed a punch on his opponent's stomach. Arios was speechless. How could a beast tamer be so strong? Rein explained that this was the true power of someone like him. He said that, because he always observed the heroes' group's fights, he knew every weak point of its members, and he was blunt. Arios no longer had a chance of beating him. Suddenly, Arios burst out laughing and said that he hadn't used his special magic yet. But when he launched his attack, Rein responded with a fireball, catching him off guard. Arios began to use even more powerful spells, but Rein managed to escape them all. He then began to devise a strategy to end it all. Before Arios could finish the fight, he felt his body going numb. Rein had used his skills as a tamer to seal the victory. Even so, he said that he was still irritated by the provocations against his girls. So, He finished the fight with a direct punch that knocked Arios out of the fight. The girls approached soon after, celebrating their victory against the hero's group. A few hours passed and everyone arrived at a place called Lost Wood. Tanya was already thinking about burning the entire dark forest, but Rein stopped her. He reminded her that the objective was to find the Shield of Truth, which could only be wielded by the hero. When he looked at the map, he realized that the one Arios had given him was useless. So we went back a few hours in time when the hero's group had apologized to Rein. He accepted and decided to help in the search for the shield. However, Arios provoked him again, and Rein had to restrain his companions. The girls said they didn't want to continue helping Arios. Tanya confidently stated that she would be able to defeat the Demon King on her own. Rein understood that they were just worried about him, and thanked them for staying by his side. Canade and Tanya then promised to accompany him until they found the Shield of Truth. Rein, using his skills, tamed a bird and tried to find his way to the deepest part of the forest. After some time, it woke up, and Canade was quite enthusiastic about the mission. They walked for a while, but realized that they had returned to the same place they had started from. Canade thought she had lost her way, but Tanya suspected something different. She cast a material search spell, and a red light shone before them. She discovered that a nearby tree was emitting illusion magic. Canade was confused, so Tanya explained further. She had been told to destroy the tree since it was protected by a powerful barrier. When she tried to attack it, a terrifying voice stopped her. A fairy appeared before them. Rein realized that she was also from a supreme race. He knew that the magic of fairies was even more powerful than that of a dragonoid. Furthermore, he remembered that fairies hated humans and had disappeared 200 years ago. Rein tried to talk to the creature, but it ordered everyone to leave. In an instant, it threatened to cast a powerful spell, and the group had to flee for safety. Canade had a different image of fairies. He thought they were warm and welcoming creatures. But Rein was suspicious. Something seemed wrong with that barrier, especially since no fairy had shown their faces to humans in the last 200 years. Faced with this, Tanya suggested breaking the barrier by force, but Rein preferred to try to talk to the fairy one more time. Canade and Tanya agreed to support him in this plan. It was something they had already expected of him. With this decision made, Rein returned to his place and spoke to the fairy, explaining that he only wanted to talk. He said that she could attack him if she wanted, but asked her not to hurt her companions, who were right behind her. The girls tried to protect him out of instinct, but he knew that he had to do this to earn the fairy's trust. At that moment, he remembered when he began his journey as a beast tamer. He trusted that he was doing the right thing. Then, he let himself be hit by the girl's powerful attack. The fairy was surprised. Why wasn't he running away? It was there that she realized that Rein was different from the humans who destroyed her home centuries ago. Still, she did not give in. A new attack was launched against him, but this time, his companion stepped forward to protect him. They said they would not let Rein get hurt. Canade tried to convince the fairy that Rein was a good person. After much effort, they managed to gain her trust. She agreed to listen to him. Sora, the fairy's name, told her that she was looking for the Shield of Truth, which was hidden in the hero's stead, but the barrier prevented her from going there. She said she couldn't destroy the barrier because that would open a path straight to the fairy village. Then suddenly, Sora teleported and managed to get the shield without having to break through the protection. Rein was surprised at how easy it was, and thought he should return the favor. But Sora didn't ask for anything in return. Still, he noticed that there was something in her gaze, a certain heaviness. Before they left, Rein asked Sora if there was something bothering her. She hesitated. She wanted to tell him, but she was afraid of involving him in something dangerous. However, Rein insisted. He really wanted to help her. With everyone's support, Sora decided to open up. She told him that she had a younger sister who was very precious to her. The two of them protected the village's barrier together. One day, they felt a strange presence in the forest and decided to investigate. They ended up encountering a monster that served the Demon King's army. They tried to fight it, but their magic had no effect. In the end, Sora's sister Runa was captured. Rein had heard rumors about a Shadow Knight, a being who could nullify any magical attack. It was he who gave the order for Sora to remove the barrier, but she refused, not wanting to put all the other fairies at risk. When he reported what had happened to the village leader, he decided to abandon Runa. His justification was simple. He prioritized the lives of all fairies, even if it meant sacrificing just one. Rein couldn't accept this. Seeing a girl crying really bothered him, so he promised to rescue Runa. His words touched Sora deeply. She cried, but this time, with joy. Rein was determined to keep his promise, no matter what he faced. Sora explained that the deadline was approaching. She had to remove the barrier before sunset that day, or her sister would die. Rein asked her to wait for him. With that, she entrusted the mission to them. Soon after, they found the place where Runa was and prepared to attack. Rein started with his fireball spell, trying to divert the Shadow Knight's attention. Taking advantage of this distraction, everyone went for physical attacks. The enemy was surprised. Perhaps Rein was the real hero? Suddenly the knight threatened to kill Runa, but Tanya appeared in time and deflected the attack. Rein praised Tanya, which flattered her. Next, Kanade and Rein attacked together. Even so, the enemy resisted. So the knight launched a counterattack and created a powerful storm. Rein told Canade that he trusted her to win while he took care of interrupting the spell. Then he began activating his beast tamer skills, summoning a swarm of bees. The plan was simple: distraction. And it worked. Rein warned her that she could finish it off. Canade summoned the true power of a cat spirit and rushed towards the enemy. With a powerful blow, she struck the knight squarely. The enemy, shocked at having been defeated, disappeared. Canade then wanted to know more about that spell. Rein explained that it was a unique tamer's magic. Tanya, who appeared shortly after, was surprised as well. Her boost spell was considered lost. Canade then said that they deserved to celebrate and showed off her victory pose. Runa woke up, and Rein told her that her sister had asked her to save her. Hours later, the two were together again, and Sora thanked them deeply for saving his sister. In the middle of the conversation, Sora teased Rein, and he was surprised at how much the two were alike, despite their different personalities. Canade suggested that they live together again, but the two of them didn't want to stay there any longer. Rein warned them that they needed to be careful, as the forest was dangerous. Then Canade asked if the two of them would like to join the group. The fairies replied that they trusted Rein and would like to join him. Furthermore, they wanted to form a family contract with him. Rein was amazed. He had never thought he would be able to tame fairies. Tanya encouraged him, and he decided to give it a try. He began the process, structuring the spell to tame magical beasts. He created the magic circle, and to his surprise, the twins accepted. The contract was signed. They were happy, and so was he, despite being completely out of mana, since he had tamed two final species at once. At that moment, Tanya and Kanade realized that they now had rivals, and this could lead to some competition for Rein in the future. Later, Rein met with Arios, and his girls were uncomfortable with the way the hero treated their master. Everyone was surprised that Rein managed to find the shield in just 2 days, while they had failed after a week. Mina examined the shield and confirmed that it was real. The group of heroes were shocked. Arios saw the twin fairies, but Rein replied that it was none of his business. He took the payment and was happy that he wouldn't have to deal with that group again. Suddenly, Agath appeared and asked Rein if he wanted to come back. Arios didn't like the idea, but Agath explained his reasons, and the other members agreed too. They knew they needed Rein. Agath promised to treat him better if they worked together again. But Rein couldn't forgive them. It was then that his girls arrived, and Canade warned him that everyone was waiting for him. Rein refused the offer and decided to continue his life alongside the 4 girls who had always been with him. They began to talk and laugh, while Alias became thoughtful. The reason was simple. He hated Rein for being stronger. Later, the girls wondered if only the hero could defeat the Demon King. Rein told them about an ancient story in which a man was given powers by the gods and saved humanity. It was this man who became known as the legendary hero. He explained that only the hero could surpass his own limits. Canade commented that Alios was weak, but Rein replied that he would become stronger in time. Runa, on the other hand, thought that Rein was also like a hero. After all, he had become much stronger after making the contract with them. Suddenly, Canade said that Rein only needed to tame a few more supreme species, and then he would be able to defeat the Demon King. The girls believed that Rein could defeat the Demon King, but he realized that he had never really had that goal, because he had always thought that he was too weak for such a mission. He admitted that he would like to defeat the Demon King, but he knew that he was not strong enough to do so yet. Still, he said that he would think about it more, and that he wanted to spend some quiet time with his beloved girls. Canade replied that she would always be by his side, supporting him, and he then wondered which path he should take. Meanwhile, Alias was overcome with rage, his pride wounded, and planned to kill Rein. The next few days, Rein woke up to find all the girls sleeping peacefully. He was almost surprised by Tanya, but they soon had breakfast together. Tanya mentioned that she needed new equipment, and Rein thought it was a great idea, planning to enjoy a nice day with his girls. After breakfast, they went to the town, where he realized that the twins were afraid of the locals. Suddenly, some adventurers appeared and were delighted with Tanya, since she had defeated them in battle. At the same time, Canade received an apple as a thank you for helping an old lady a few days before. Later, several children showed up and were surprised to learn that Rein had even more wives. Runa blushed and thanked them for the compliments, calling them both pretty. Sora wanted to show the children some magic tricks, but Rein stopped her. She became angry, and Runa explained that Sora couldn't use magic because his fairy wings would appear. After that, they entered the best gun shop in town. Rein told Gantz that he was looking for a new weapon. He looked around as Sora suggested that a whip would be the perfect weapon. Soon, she made provocative comments, causing laughter and a scolding from the older sister, who did not take it lightly. Sora apologized later. Rein found a dagger that looked strange. At that moment, an adventurer came into the shop asking for a strong sword. The owner handed him one of his forged swords, but Rein realized that it was a fraud. The adventurer left satisfied without suspecting anything, but Rein became suspicious and asked the blacksmith if there was a secret. The shop owner laughed and explained that he made these weapons in his spare time and that they were not good for combat. He revealed these fake pieces to see who really deserved his real weapons, made with care. This way, he avoided selling his treasures to adventurers who did not value his work. Tanya understood this feeling and soon became friends with the blacksmith. Soon after, Rein was asked how he could tell the difference between the weapons. He replied that, as a beast tamer, he might have this kind of special perception. Gantz was charmed by Rein, but the girls joked that he was not the right beast tamer for him. Gantz liked the teasing and promised to make a custom weapon for Rein. Afterwards, the group went to the Adventurers Guild, where they discovered that Arios was looking for a new member for his group. Tanya and Canade noticed that Rein was looking a little sad, but he thanked them for their concern and said he was fine. The twins were a little jealous. Natalie met Sora and Runa, but Sora caused some confusion for Rein. He tried to explain the misunderstanding, saying that Sora was just joking. He then showed Natalie the request to find mithril ore for the blacksmith Gantz. He explained that he needed the rare material to forge a powerful weapon, but that there was a shortage of mithril because many adventurers used it to craft freezing clocks. Tanya realized that Rein was planning to help Gantz and said she would support him in his search for the mithril. The other girls also wanted to help, and he accepted their help in investigating why the ore was disappearing from the mines. Gantz liked Rein even more and agreed to participate in the investigation and asked him to charge her for making the custom weapon. The blacksmith was smiling with satisfaction. A few hours later, they were on their way to the mithril mine, with Canade helping Rein. They noticed that Runa and Sora had abilities that Rein didn't seem to have. Halfway there, they decided to take a break near a lake. While they were resting, Rein tamed 2 squirrels. As a result, he asked them to look after the girls while he took a nap. Meanwhile, the girls were enjoying a bath, and the twins became jealous of Tanya and Canade's bodies. Hours later, they arrived at the mithril mine to find out why the ore had disappeared. Rein noticed an eagle flying nearby as some men were leaving the mine. He told them they needed to capture them, but Tanya and Canade quickly knocked them both out. Runa asked if she could use her magic to peek into their memories, which left Rein surprised at the twins' abilities. They began the search spell, and were able to see that a group of adventurers was responsible for the disappearance of the mithril. Runa and Sora wanted a pat on the head as a reward, and Rein began to gently pat the twins, while the other girls grew jealous. Then he warned everyone to get ready, because he intended to enter the mine. He warned that his enemies were watching them, and that one of them was probably also a beast tamer. Inside the mine, the thieves were alerted to their companion's defeat by an unknown group. Suddenly they were ambushed by 4 adventurers, but Runa and Sora used a spell to absorb the fireball thrown at them. The thieves tried to attack again, but the twins countered with magic, erasing the enemy's spells. Tanya and Canade defeated the other members of the group. They captured the thieves, and Canade was certain that Rein would defeat the enemy leader. The opponent quickly lost the fight, but then used his skills to summon a powerful creature. A dangerous B-rank monster appeared, the Behemoth. Despite looking like a monstrous beast that was hard to control, the beast that had challenged Rein since childhood was finally tamed by him. This broke all the rules of what it would take to be a tamer. However, during the fight, Rein was attacked, and the beast, removed itself, leaving Rein's mind a bit confused. He cared about everyone around him, especially those who also cared about him. Canade, seeing the situation, rushed to help Rein, who was injured. At the last moment, she managed to save her future husband. She told him that Tanya was watching the thieves, and Rein, even though injured, explained to her the plan to win the battle. Their enemy, however, was furious and declared that they would all die inside the cave. Suddenly, Behemoth, the great beast, attacked Rein. He realized that Mina, his companion, would not be able to resist for long, and decided to counterattack using a fireball spell, but to his surprise, the spell failed. Canade, worried, told her master that she had already captured the beast tamer, but Rein refused to give up. Rein then activated a spell that only made Behemoth even angrier. In the midst of that confusion, he remembered Canade's words and decided to trust what he had inside himself. This trust gave Rein the strength to stop Behemoth. He then took control of the beast, which stopped attacking him and began to obey him. The thief who was watching everything was astonished by what he saw, saying that normally no one would be able to control Behemoth like that. Canade admired Rein's skill. Behemoth's former master shouted at the beast, but it turned on him. about to attack. To save the thief, Rein launched a powerful fireball, defeating Behemoth. After the battle, Rein explained that Behemoth had attacked his former master because he had been mistreated by him. This made Rein sad, because he had to kill a monster that was innocent, just because of his own master's mistakes. Later, they discovered that the thieves wanted revenge on Gantz, as they realized that they had been deceived by him. Gantz then understood that he should not have betrayed the adventurers and regretted it, feeling ashamed for what he had done. Rein, in turn, said that everyone makes mistakes, and he was sure he would not do the same again. Gantz became excited and asked what weapon Rein would like to have. Then Rein had an idea and whispered to Gantz what the equipment would be used for. He asked him to forge a strong S-rank gauntlet for the fight that would take place that night. Meanwhile, a beast tamer tried to join the heroes' party, but was rejected. Arios, one of the members, looked down on him, but the aspiring adventurer believed he could be useful. Arios asked if he could tame ultimate species, and the tamer replied that it was impossible. Mina knew that many candidates were good, but she also knew that no one could replace Rein. She recognized that they would never find another tamer with his skills. She asked Arios if the criteria for choosing the group members weren't too strict, but he was irritated by her question. Unfortunately, without Arios, the mission to defeat the Demon King could not continue. Mina apologized for her rudeness before leaving, reminding Arios of the importance of saving the world. However, all he could think about was his revenge against Rein and his girls as he stared at a ring, planning to eliminate them all. The next morning, Arios went to visit Natalie and learned that the thieves had been arrested for serious crimes. He felt a little sorry for them. Runa and Sora noticed that Rein was sad and were worried, so they decided to cheer him up, and he thanked them, saying that he would go shopping with his daughters. 2 other girls were still asleep, so they brought him a hot dog. The girls wanted to know if Rein had acquired any new abilities after his contract with them, but he didn't feel any change. They hoped that perhaps he had learned the final magic, but when they noticed that he didn't gain any new strength, they became sad, afraid that they wouldn't be of any use to him. Even so, Rein tried to cheer them up. They wanted to understand why he trusted them so much. The answer was simple. He had saved them, and they felt ashamed that they had not been able to do anything for him until then. So Rein told them about his difficult story, about how he had been treated like scum by the group of heroes. The girls got angry with Arios when they heard this. Afterwards, Rein said that after that bad day, he finally found true friends. They understood why he had so much faith in them. Suddenly, they decided to wake the other girls for breakfast. But at that moment, an arrogant nobleman appeared, who asked the twins' names and confessed his feelings for them. He introduced himself as Mr. Handsome, a nickname that disgusted Sora. The girls were afraid of Eddie, as he claimed to be the son of a lord who ruled Horizon. Runa and Sora refused to go with him, which angered Eddie, and he sent his soldiers after them to capture Rein. When the guards attacked the twins, he easily defeated them and warned them that Eddie would not be able to get his girls. Eddie, thinking he was a top G, refused to back down and even took innocent townspeople hostage. He declared that everyone there was just a tool, and Rein didn't know how to protect everyone at the same time. Runa and Sora asked if they should use magic to help, but he feared that it would destroy his peaceful life. So Rein sought a different solution and realized that he had learned a powerful spell. He cast several fireballs, and the twins recognized that special fairy magic. Rein defeated Eddie before he could escape. Before leaving, Eddie warned that Rein would regret fighting him. Meanwhile, the girls were happy that Rein had protected them, and the townspeople also thanked him. Suddenly, an old woman appeared and warned Rein to leave the city immediately with his friends. At that moment, Arios planned to use a ring capable of causing great chaos in Horizon. Back at the inn, Runa mentioned that Rein had managed to learn a special combat move, something that surprised him greatly. He then told the girls about Eddie, and they discovered that he kidnapped women and treated them like toys. Tanya decided that she would punish Eddie and wanted to gather evidence to arrest him. Rein wanted to protect the city, but she knew that he was just an ordinary beast tamer. Canade and Tanya told him that he didn't have to fight alone and that they would help him. They knew that he was trying to protect everyone alone, and they decided to support him in this mission. Rein was happy to have his girls by his side, and together they planned to protect Horizon during the night. That night, Eddie's father discovered what his son was doing, but he didn't care. Eddie ordered Gilbert, the captain of the Knightly Order, to make sure no witnesses came forward. He paid Gilbert to investigate Rein. Later, Eddie called a little girl into the room and used her as a punching bag. The girl couldn't defend herself and just wanted to be saved. The next day, Rein went to the Night Order building to file a complaint and asked them to investigate what had happened in the plaza the day before. However, a group of knights showed up and claimed it was just a small fight. Rein already suspected that Eddie's family was paying someone to do the deed, and a woman who was listening to them told Kanade that the Night Order was working for Eddie. It was then that the vice captain of the Night Order, Stella, showed up. Rein introduced himself to her and confessed that he felt useless. because he had defeated the bandits, while the Order could not even protect the city of Horizon from its own lord. Therefore, Stella asked Rein to join her, since, according to her, most of the Order was corrupt. She explained that her plan was to arrest Captain Gilbert and his allies in order to bring security back to Horizon. Canade trusted Stella, and Rein decided to cooperate with her, as they had the same goal. When Stella heard Rein's plan, she laughed because she knew he was a good person, and even cried with joy. Meanwhile, Rein felt flattered. Together, they began to plan how to take down the bandits. Rein said that they needed to set up a trap, and told Stella his strategy. He also received a new weapon from Gant, a special gauntlet. That night, many knights gathered in front of Eddie's father's mansion, ready to begin their mission. Gilbert had already heard rumors about what Stella was planning, but he didn't want the truth to come out. Even so, he ordered his soldiers to be ready to fight. However, they were attacked in the dark. The exit of the mansion was blocked, and all the knights were knocked out by Rein, who used his Shrank gauntlet. He explained that the gauntlet was a collaboration between Nike and Gucci, made by Gant, so he had the perfect weapon for this surprise attack. By the time he attacked Gilbert, Gilbert managed to defend himself and found where Rein was hiding. Stella asked him to give up, saying that they already had enough evidence of Gilbert's corruption. But he had no intention of giving up. He wanted to eliminate Stella. She accepted the challenge, and Gilbert mocked her for not choosing money like the others. Then, they started to fight. During the fight, Stella was overwhelmed by Gilbert's attack, who declared that there is no justice in this world. At that moment, she remembered how Gilbert had been before, when he was not corrupt. With strength, she managed to counterattack and defeat him with a sword strike. She cried because he used his power to protect criminals. After that, they planned to arrest Eddie and his father to return safety to Horizon. While all this was happening, Nina was being beaten again by Eddie, who discovered that there was evidence against him being prepared. Suddenly, Alias appeared and said that he wanted to eliminate the Rein as well. He told Eddie that he had several final species on his side and that there was no chance against the Rein. Then, he gave Eddie a magical item containing a powerful curse. Later, Nina remembered her peaceful life surrounded by kind people. After that, she was locked up and began to wish every day that someone would come and save her. Meanwhile, Stella made her move. She planned to inspect the Lord's estate for an urgent reason. She told the guards that Captain Gilbert had been arrested, but they refused to let them in. Kanade and Tanya said that Stella would ensure their safety, but the guards called for reinforcements. They ended up surrounded by the Lord's soldiers and a fight broke out. Eddie watched the scene and was not afraid of the final species of Rein because he had the cursed item. At this time, Rein had already infiltrated the Lord's building. Runa used her spell to search for kidnapped people inside the place, but suddenly noticed something wrong. A huge magical signature appeared. She warned that the person had very strong magical power. Rein suspected that it was a final species and decided to find it. She asked the twins to search for the kidnapped people because her girls were worried, but he calmed down and apologized for revealing her secret in the process. Runa assured them that there was nothing to worry about, and everyone split up to search for the kidnapped women. When Rein investigated where the signature was coming from, he found a room and was shocked to see an injured girl with a foxtail. At that moment, he was certain that she was a final species. He immediately picked the lock and cast a spell to heal her. He said that he was there to help her. Nina was happy to see that someone had come to save her and jumped into Rein's arms. Then we flash back to the day when Nina was kidnapped by Eddie. She refused to go with him, but Eddie was cruel and threatened to kill innocent children if she didn't go. Nina didn't want innocent people to get hurt, so she apologized. He also put a collar on her that sealed her powers and began beating her. Ever since then, she was used as a punching bag. Rein was shocked to hear Nina's story and decided to free her from the collar. He tried to calm her down, but Nina warned her that there was a dangerous spell on the collar. Rein assured her that she would save her. He tried to use his beast tamer skills to undo the spell, but he couldn't. Nina said that she had already done everything she could for him and wanted him to stop insisting. She thought it was useless and that no one would miss her if she disappeared. But Rein didn't give up. He was determined to save her, no matter what the cost. In the end, he managed to get Nina off the collar, and she was relieved and happy that he was okay and unharmed. And, meanwhile, Tanya and Kanade had defeated Eddie's guards. Tanya was getting bored with the fight. Suddenly, the enemies tried to use their hostages as a shield, but were surprised by Runa and Sora, who appeared out of nowhere. They managed to free the prisoners and said that they had been teleported to a safe place. Then Tanya and Kanade continued to face the guards that were still there. Soon after, Ed appeared and spoke to his father, telling him that he needed to escape without him because he still had something important to do. A few moments later, Rein found his friends inside the building. They were surprised to see Nina and started to play with her a little. Tanya said that they had already been told about Nina, and she was nervous about all the attention. Kanade tried to calm her down, and Nina couldn't stop hugging Kanade, seeking comfort. Meanwhile, Rein told Stella that their mission was not over yet, and that they needed to stay alert. Suddenly, the Lord of the Horizon appeared, and Stella tried to arrest him, but Rein used his gauntlet to capture him. Soon after, Eddie appeared and activated a cursed item to summon a Reaper. Rein was attacked, and Canade was unable to protect him in time. Arios was happy, thinking that Rein had died. Luckily, Rein was unharmed, although his friends were very worried that he might be dying. After that, they explained to Rein that the Death Scythe magic was an instant death spell. Suddenly, Runa wanted to test it out and cast a deadly poison spell on Rein. She explained that she suspected that he had an ability that nullified negative effects. But Runa was reprimanded for using poison on him. Eddie was shocked at being defeated by Rein, and his anger grew even more. Then, the cursed item spoke to Eddie, capturing his attention completely. Rein stared at a piece of that item for a long time until he suddenly transformed into Portgas D Ace. He used a powerful fire attack against Eddie, but the attack had no effect because Eddie was covered in a black slime that protected him. At that moment, a demon named Blackbeard appeared. Rein froze in fear as he remembered that a similar demon had destroyed his village in the past. Feeling angry and determined, he knew he had to stop Blackbeard from destroying everything again. The demon said that he felt like killing everyone there, and practically flew to attack Horizon City. Rein realized that Blackbeard's real target was the entire townspeople, but he didn't want to put his friends in danger. Then, he noticed that his girls wanted to help him fight the demon. Nina also wanted to go with them, but Rein said that she didn't need to participate in the fight. He promised that he would come back. Then Rein set out to hunt down the demon. Blackbeard attacked Horizon with powerful magic. Suddenly, Rein and his friends appeared to try to stop him. The demon just laughed, excited for the fight. Canade was the first to attack, and everyone started combining their attacks against the unfortunate Blackbeard. He managed to break free easily, but soon the twins launched a lightning spell at him. The Rein group wondered if he had been defeated, but he remained unharmed. Black Baba looked at them, while Canade bowed, and Sumturs also bowed. Then, without much delay, Canade was hit by a strong fire breath. Tanya tried to stop the enemy, and Rein managed to heal Canade's wounds. Unfortunately, Tanya was unable to prevent him from overpowering her with his power. Even so, Tanya came out unharmed, and Rein was relieved to see that she was okay. Blackbeard seemed to be having a lot of fun while fighting Rein, and soon began casting powerful spells. Because of this, the city ended up being destroyed. Rein, furious with the enemy, attacked Blackbeard with fire magic to get his attention. He then activated his multi-boost spell to unleash Tanya and Canade's true power. They began to counterattack the demon together, managing to press him to the ground. But suddenly, Rein realized that they weren't doing any real damage to the enemy. Blackbeard smiled and used the power of his devil fruit to summon an army of demonic pets. He then flew away, saying that he planned to destroy Horizon. Tanya tried to stop him, but he used his demonic pets as a shield, protecting himself like a rain of defenses. Rein wanted to chase the black demon, but he also needed to ensure the safety of the townspeople. It was then that Runa and Sora told him about a special magic they had. They could teleport people to a safe place. They said they wanted to help save Horizon along with Rein, and he trusted the girls. Meanwhile, the heroes' party was gathered. Mina wanted to fight the demons, but Alias disagreed, saying that their focus should be solely on the Demon King. Elsewhere, Stella tried to evacuate the residents, encouraging her soldiers to protect the town at all costs. Soon, Runa and Sora appeared and explained their plan to Stella. Nina was worried, but the twins tried to cheer her up. Meanwhile, Rein's group fought off several monsters and managed to protect many of Horizon's residents, telling them to seek safety. However, more demons continued to emerge. Sora and Runa wanted to teleport people away, but the villagers didn't trust them. Suddenly, a hot dog vendor appeared, saying that he believed in fairies. After more villagers arrived, they managed to convince the group to trust them, and they began teleporting people away. All of this happened because Natalie asked Rein's group for help. Gantz brought them weapons, and several adventurers joined in to support the fight. Together, they cleared a path for Rein's group, who were grateful for the help. So, Runa and Sora began teleporting the residents to a safe location. Nina saw everything they were doing to save the city and decided to help as well. Rein then told him that he had a plan, but he needed to get closer to Blackbeard. Tanya explained that she couldn't use her dragon wings because the demonic pets were blocking the way. Suddenly, Nina appeared and said that she wanted to fight alongside him. Canade and Tanya remembered that demigods have a special ability. However, Rein left the two to deal with the pets, while he and Nina went after Blackbeard. Blackbeard attacked, but Rein dodged every blow. Suddenly, he was hit by a powerful laser beam, but Nina cast a lightning speed spell. With that, Rein managed to get close to the enemy and activated his boost spell, concentrating all the power power in himself to face Blackbeard. Blackbeard tried to attack Rein with his pets, but Rein tried to seal the evil power. He absorbed the demonic power and control of the pets. But this energy was too dangerous. Even so, Rein resisted, managing to stop the demons from attacking. Blackbeard was shocked. He didn't want to lose, but Rein ordered his own pets to attack the enemy. In the end, the demons exploded, and Blackbeard was defeated by Rein's beast-taming skills. Nina was exhausted, but Tanya arrived in time to save them. With the help of his friends, Rein managed to save the city of Horizon, and together they watched the sunrise. In the days that followed, Horizon was rebuilt. Stella managed to arrest the corrupt knight. Kanade and Tanya helped restore the city, while Rein admired his girls. He still saw himself as an ordinary beast tamer, but his friends assured him that he was much more than that. A few days later, Nina told Rein that she wanted to be with him. He was unsure whether he could make another pact with the supreme species, but he was determined to use his ability. So he made a pact with Nina, who won the family pact with Rein and officially became part of the family. After the contract was sealed, the girls were happy with the new member of the family. Later, Rein visited the Adventurers Guild and was surprised to find Stella there. Natalie explained that they had been discussing a collaboration and that Stella had become the new captain of the Knights Guild. She thanked Rein and his friends, saying that without them, Horizon would have been destroyed. Shortly after, Rein found out that he had been promoted to S-rank adventurer. He was surprised and learned that the promotion came for defeating the demon. Furthermore, Natalie told him that he could expect a good reward. Then Natalie introduced Nina, the new member of the group, and found the girl very cute. Suddenly, she realized that she was a demigod and that Nina was also very kind. Later, Rein commented that the rooms were too small for a group of 6 people. Natalie suggested that they buy a bigger house with enough space for everyone. The girls liked the idea, and Rein decided to look for a house. Rein spent the whole day looking at houses with the girls. A few hours later, Natalie wanted to show them the last property, which looked perfect, but Tanya asked why Natalie only showed them that one at the end. Natalie explained that the house was haunted, and they discovered that Canade couldn't stand ghosts. Nina tried to calm Canade down, while Natalie told her that the ghost was just playing tricks. Canade was scared, but the others didn't think the pranks were that bad. Rein said they would give the house a try and see what they could do. Natalie didn't plan on accompanying them, wishing them good luck in the haunted house. Shortly after, they entered the house, and Rein looked around with the girls. As soon as they reached the living room, the furniture began to move. Canade panicked, and Rein thought it looked like a scene from a horror movie. At that moment, a ghost appeared and asked them to leave. The twins tried to end the spirit using a powerful spell, but it managed to escape the astral attack. The 2 girls planned to use even stronger magic, and the ghost realized she was in trouble. Tanya realized that the spirit couldn't attack them directly, so she decided to scare Kanade, since she was the only one scared. Suddenly, Kanade reached her limit and managed to injure the ghost with physical attacks. So Runa and Sora created a magical barrier to prevent the spirit from escaping the room. Tanya took care of Kanade, who regained consciousness. Suddenly, Rein interrupted her and revealed that he had learned how to tame ghosts. He showed that the ghost no longer had control over its own body and gave up. After that, Rein introduced himself to her, and the spirit began to like him. Then Tina introduced herself, saying that she had died 30 years ago. Tanya asked how she had died, and Tina said that the owner of the mansion had murdered her. Rein asked if Canade was still afraid of Tina, and she said she would try to get along with her. Rein's girls knew what he was planning and smiled. Rein then asked Tina if she would like to live with them. Tina was surprised by the invitation, and the girls explained that he always did that kind of thing. Rein said he was looking forward to living in the mansion with her, and Tina thanked her. A few days later, the contract was finally officially signed. Canade told Natalie about Tina and that they were throwing her a farewell party. Natalie was happy for Rein and realized that Horizon had truly become his new home. At night, the group of heroes went to a vegetable vendor and demanded that he give them free supplies. The man replied that he had nothing left to sell. Arios became angry and said that helping the group was the vendor's obligation. Even so, the man remained firm in his refusal, and he was not the only one to refuse the requests. Very angry, Arios ended up destroying the vegetable stand. After that, Arios left the place, while the residents commented that they didn't need heroes because they already had Rein to protect them. Meanwhile, Rein received many gifts from the villagers, and Canade told him that he was officially home. A few hours later, dinner was ready, and they found that most of the food had been prepared by Sora. Kanade and Tanya were eager to start eating. Suddenly, Nina thanked Rein, saying that she no longer felt alone. At that moment, he remembered when he lost his home as a child. He was happy to have found a new home and to have met those girls who made him smile. He realized that the void in his heart had finally been filled. Then, unable to hold it back, tears of joy began to fall. He was surprised at his own tears. The girls were worried, but he quickly asked them to start eating before the dinner got cold.